Now, there's a profound shift taking place in payments that is redefining the future of the sector and indeed many others across the digital ecosystem.
The now culture, fueled by the rise of one-day delivery and TV and music streaming services, is placing great emphasis and demand on real-time payments and a decline in cash usage.
And in response to this trend, Mastercard has developed its multi-rail strategy, which connects more people and businesses in paying and getting paid. Well, earlier we spoke to Paul Stoddart, who's president for new payment platforms at Mastercard, and began by asking him to explain the impact of the pandemic on people's spending habits.
Over the last decade, e-commerce or shopping online has grown from around 4% of overall shopping, if you like, to about 12%. And in the first quarter of this year, we saw that increase to around 16%. So the statistics are already available to support, the theory that the crisis has really accelerated our habits of wanting to shop online. Some markets have seen that acceleration happen faster. Contactless is another technology that I think has received that same boost. And that has seen also a tremendous growth in adoption because, of course, the COVID crisis has meant that, less touching and less contact. Once we see travel pick up, once we see you and I and going on holiday and traveling for business again, see that move back to some lower level. But actually, there's another school of thought to say that it will just continue and that this acceleration will actually become a permanent thing.
Which begs the question that for companies like Mastercard, obviously these are very exciting times, but challenging times. So how are you meeting that trend? How are you addressing it so that you can actually respond to the needs of people in a faster digital world?
You've got that overall macro trend taking place. And the way Mastercard looks at this is, we, for a lot of the history of the company, have been very focused on the card payment space. In the last few years, we have recognized that, the card payment space continues to offer plenty of opportunity for the business to grow on a global basis. But that is a relatively small part of the payments landscape, roughly only 20%, participating in what we describe as multi-rail environment, where we're able to provide choice to our customers, whether they use card payments or ACH and in particular real-time payment rails, or indeed some form of blockchain payment rails. It's that choice that we think is best going to support customers as they think about their needs.
If multi-rail should be seen as within the context of innovation, how are you able to use it to innovate further, but more importantly, to make sure that nobody gets left behind?
With the innovation agenda that we have and that a lot of companies have, comes a great responsibility. Back in 2015, we committed to bring 500 million people into the formal financial economy. We've upped that commitment to 1 billion, including 50 million small businesses. And it's through partnerships with other companies, governments. We will ensure that our financial inclusion agenda can be expanded, and the success we've seen, into a broader, more digital inclusion agenda. And it's through partnerships with like-minded organizations that bring their own specialist capabilities to the table that we're going to have the biggest impact. In particular, in Kenya, we're working very closely with Unilever on a digital program for micro merchants. In Thailand, we supported the introduction of prompt pay into the country, where we provide the country with a national payment system, and the prompt pay service on top has allowed the Thai government to more effectively distribute benefit payments to citizens and reduce fraud in the system. So all of these things that we're doing across the world in partnership with other institutions, we're seeing is starting to have a real impact, something we're very proud of.
Sure, and it does sound really exciting, and certainly it's reaching people and embracing more of the generations. But then I guess the downside is that as you have more of these payment solutions and an increase in the number of devices, it steps up the danger of fraud. And that's the point. How do you make sure that these facilities are safe?
Unauthorized fraud fell by around about 8% in the first half of 2020, despite particular focus areas of attack from the fraudster. And so contactless card fraud fell about 20%. And so it's actually important to note that the new technology that we introduce does a good job of reducing fraud in terms of overall numbers.
What does the future hold for the payment system? Are we talking about a future where cash itself, the physical cash, is obsolete, it's replaced with these different payment platforms?
I think we're a long way away from seeing cash disappear completely. In some of the more advanced markets that have made specific focused efforts to reduce cash usage, it still exists. And we've got to remember that there are segments of the population that rely on cash. It could be anyone who, for whatever reason, has decided they don't want to use electronic. So making sure we have an access to cash obligation. We are responsible for running ATM networks in countries and enabling ATM transactions. So cash will, in my view, continue to form part of our lives for many years to come. I think we'll see more contactless. It's sort of reaching very high penetration levels, over 50% now in the UK in terms of numbers of transactions. I think we'll see usage of mobile banking. I mean, in some markets, it's already well above 80% of people that live in that market are using mobile banking. And we're very likely to see increasing utility of those mobile banking services. And those mobile banking platforms default to real-time payment systems in any given country. Growth rates for real-time payments are in the high teens in the UK. It was just under 20% last year. We're expecting this year to be a little less given the COVID crisis, but still in the mid to high teens. And a lot more use of AI and machine learning in decisioning around payment, particularly in conjunction with open banking related services, where banks are being required to make available easy access to customer data for customers with permission given to third parties by that customer if necessary. So I think more AI, machine learning, more electronic payments, and probably less cash, but hopefully for those that are choosing to in that way.
That was Paul Stoddart, President for New Payment Platforms at Mastercard.
Thank you, Juliet. Thank you, everyone.